it's Nicole. Welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I have the most recent release from ILNP. This is their Sundazed collection for summer 2026, and if you weren't counting, guess this is the fourth ILNP review that we've had in a little over a month and a half.
Wow.
I do believe that this is the final summer collection from the brand, so in case you felt like you were getting overload from ILNP, I think we're good until fall. The Sundazed collection features 6 brand new holographic shades to the brand's lineup. These are going to be a mixture of ILNP's ultra holographics and then their regular holographics. No, I don't know what the difference is between those two formulations.
But anywho,
the Sundazed collection goes on sale July 10th on the ILNP website. ILNP is also available on Amazon as well as Etsy. Since this is ILNP, we are talking about this release as not considered limited edition, and it should be around for quite a while. So I will get in more to pricing and sale information for the end of the video. The products featured in today's video were sent to me by ILNP in gifted PR. This video is not sponsored, but again, I did receive all the polishes in the video from ILNP, and thank you very much to the ILNP team for sending these over to me. As always, in the description box, I will have links to where you can pick these polishes up, links to the brand's website, social media pages, my social media pages, and of course timestamps as well. I will also have some comparisons coming up for this release, so let's just get right into the video. I'm using my laptop. So like if you see me lifting up my laptop, that's why my phone's dead. So the first polish up is called Barefoot, and ILNP is describing this one as a sandy beige ultra holographic with a delicate golden shimmer. Barefoot had a fantastic formula. The base on here did not feel overly thick or thin, and I had zero application issues with it. Hi, Stormy. Come here. Whoop. Oops. I'm gonna call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on your thickness of coat. For my live swatch, I swatched this one out in 2 coats. I think if you're going for significantly thinner coats than I did, this could potentially be a 3 coater. As someone who is not really a big fan of beige leaning colors, I will say I really enjoyed the color and tone of this polish. It is definitely something in like a darker sand to a beigey tone in my opinion. I will say, however, the shimmer in here did not pull gold at all.
disappointed!
You're gonna hear me say this quite a few times throughout this video. The brand describes the shimmer as gold. I wouldn't personally describe the shimmer as gold. The shimmer looks very, very coppery in this polish. I think the shimmer might have started out as gold, but when combined with kind of that kind of browny, sandy kind of color, it pulls very, very copper. And again, as someone who doesn't usually like beige, I feel like the overall look of this polish pulls just interesting enough that I can even like it. Probably should admit that the only reason why I like this one is probably because it is a holographic. I feel like if this was a cream, I would not dig this color at all, but because there's holographic, yeah, I like it a lot. The holographic in here is super duper strong. It's obviously, it's a linear holographic, so it's not gonna dry down textured. It will dry down a little bit dull. It's gonna remove super duper easily, just slightly messy just due to the linear holo pigment as well as that shimmer. The next polish up is called Crush, and ILNP is describing this one as a cherry red holographic with a golden shimmer. Crush also had a fantastic formula, a little bit, just slightly, and I mean the slightliness on the thicker side. This one, if you go in for a slightly thicker coat, you could get this one opaque in one. I kind of accidentally went in for a fairly thick coat for my first coat, so it was a 1 coater on me, but I would actually recommend this one in 2 to 3 thinner coats instead. While ILNP does describe the shimmer in here as being golden, on the nail, again, paired with that kind of reddish base, I feel like the shimmer looks more orangey and it's like fiery almost. It does not pull gold at all.
I want to know where to go. I want to go. Give me the gold.
Truthfully, I can't think of too many red polishes that have a golden shimmer added to them where the shimmer doesn't just look kind of orange or fiery. I feel like it's really, really difficult to have like a true golden shimmer in a red base. I feel like it always just pulls very, very orange. I would describe the base on this one as a warmer toned red. I'll give them cherry red, sure. The tone of red that gets called cherry, but not the actual color of a cherry. I feel like if you see a lot of colors, you understand what I'm trying to say there.
Huh? What?
Like, I wouldn't say this is the color of cherry the fruit, but calling it a cherry red, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can call that a cherry red. It's that kind of red. It doesn't feel overly seasonal at all, but it leans a bit on the warmer side, I think, because of the shimmer. I didn't find this one was such a warm tone red that it gave me kind of lobster hands. It didn't warm my skin tone up too badly at all, and the holographic is super duper strong. It's so beautiful, and I say that as a fake red hater. This is a very pigmented shade. While I didn't personally experience any staining, I also have a overlay back on my swatch nail nail because I broke my nail earlier this week. So I'm gonna caution for staining for this one just because it's a super pigmented and saturated red. And if you watch my videos regularly, you know I'm always constantly saying, if you really care about staining, wear multiple layers of base coat and hope for the best. The removal is gonna be super duper easy for this shade because it's just a linear holographic. The next polish up is called Golden Days, and ILNP describes this one as a golden yellow holographic shade with a golden shimmer. Golden Days had a fantastic formula. So me, myself, just a few months ago, I was shopping the ILNP catalog trying to find a like true gold linear holographic because apparently I didn't own any. I will say this is very much a golden yellow. Would I necessarily call it gold? It's golden in tone, but it lacks the metallic-iness of gold. Hopefully that makes sense. So yes, I would agree with the brand's description in calling this one a golden yellow. Would I say it's necessarily gold? Not really, because it lacks the metallic-iness, but it's definitely a golden yellow. I feel like the shimmer in this polish gives it a very slight shimmery metallic look, but not necessarily a metallic look. I can clearly tell that there is in fact a shimmer in this polish, but it's not like gold. It's not that kind of vibe on the nail. Truthfully, this is one of the polish in the collection that really made me feel like this is very much like a late summer going into autumn kind of vibe, but I'll talk more on that later in the video. I will say this shade is absolutely beautiful. I feel like this could work for both summer as well as fall. I swatched this one out in only 2 coats. However, I will call it a 2 to 3 coater depending on your application style and personal preference. I feel like for a lot of ILNP's linear holographic shades that you tend to have to really build these ones up because the bases start out a little bit sheer, but depending on your thickness of coats, 2 or 3 coats for this one. I swatched out in 2 coats and I didn't have any VNL with it. Removal, once again, is going to be super duper easy because it is just a linear holographic, but it will be fairly messy if you choose to scrub this one off. And now we have Last Light, and the brand describes this one as a deep violet ultra holographic with a delicate golden shimmer. Last Light also had a fantastic formula. For the 4th time, the shimmer here does not pull golden at all. I could see someone calling it more of like a pinky copper shade, but it's somewhere between a pink and a pinky copper. It is not pulling golden at all, but I think that's because the purple cancels out the yellow. I think that's how that works.
It's science.
I absolutely love this tone of purple. It's such a pretty tone of purple. It is on the more darker side. If someone had asked me to picture a purple tone for summer, this is probably not going to be the tone of purple that I would envision. I would envision something significantly brighter. But again, I feel like this fits really, really nicely towards like a late summer into early fall. This was just shy of being a 1 coater on me, but again, I feel like I was going in for slightly thicker coats than I normally do. So I'll call this one a 2 to 3 coater depending on your application style, just because I feel like ILNP's normal ultra hauls can be 2 to 3 coaters depending on how long my nails are at the time. This is an absolutely beautiful tone of purple. It's chef's kiss. It's gorgeous. I will note, however, while this is a very deep violet shade, it's not going to appear black in low lighting. Like this is very clearly purple. Even though removal is not going to be difficult for this shade, I still would personally recommend the soak off method because it's fairly pigmented and it's going to be messy. So just use the soak off method. The next polish up is called Stacey, and ILNP is describing this one as a vibrant fuchsia holographic polish with that same delicate golden shimmer that we keep seeing that's not really golden. So I do very much agree with the brand's color description for this shade. This is very much a very pinky tone fuchsia shade. It's so damn beautiful. I love these super saturated tones of pink. It's just very vibrant and pretty. Stacey had a fantastic formula, not too thick or thin, 0 application issues. To my eye, the shimmer in this polish looks more like a slightly lighter tone of pink. Like I could clearly see that there was a color difference between the shimmer and the base color of the polish, but it did not look anything close to golden.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed.
I absolutely loved how this one looked in natural lighting. It is such a pretty tone of pink. I feel like this is like one of my favorite tones of pink. It's just very saturated and bright and summery, but also could be like bringing us into fall like I felt for this whole collection. My bad, I didn't talk for long enough and I wanted you all to see what this one looked like in the shade as well. I feel like that is long enough. Okay, bye. Nothing in here is going to dry down textured, super easy removal, and I still recommend the soak off method. You could do a peel off base coat if you want though. The final polish in the collection is called Sunset Boulevard, and ILNP describes this one as a warm orange holographic with that delicate golden shimmer. Sunset Boulevard also had a fantastic formula, and I found this one to be just shy of being a 1-coater on me, but again, I feel like I was going in for fairly thicker coats the day that I swatched this collection out, so I would recommend this one in 2 to 3 coats depending on thickness of coats as well as your own nail length. I do agree with the brand's color description for this shade. It is very much a warm toned orange, not so warm that it leans very red, just like a nice warmth to it as opposed to being like red. And once again, this shimmer did not in fact pull golden at all. I found it pulled more like an orangey, almost heading toward gold. This is another one of the polishes in the collection that I feel is very fall coated. Like, I feel like this is a color that I see a lot in fall collections, but I'm not mad at it at all because I feel like spooky season has started, so I feel like it's fitting. Nothing in this polish is going to dry down textured. Sunset Boulevard's going to remove super duper easily, just a bit on the messy side. So what do? The soak off method or peel off base coat, or you're going to be messy. Yeah! Before we get into the comparisons, I just want to just make a quick note. I personally do not own a lot of linear holographics from ILNP. When I got into buying indie nail polish online, Super Chick Lacquer was the brand that like everybody was getting for linear holos, them and like A England. And I had purchased so many of those polishes, 10-ish, I don't know how long ago it was. Was it 10 to 13 years ago? I bought so many of their linear holographics that I never really felt a strong desire to buy other brands of linear holographics. I feel like I had like every color of linear holo from that brand. So that's my long way of saying, for these comparisons, I pulled out a lot of Holo Taco shades and a couple of Super Chick Lacquer shades for 2 reasons. One, I felt that for my audience, I felt it was most likely linear holographic comparisons. I felt that people are going to fall into like one of 2 camps. One being people who are slightly newer to the community and more likely to have some of the Holo Taco linear holographics, or 2, people who are in a similar camp to me who bought, you know, the popular linear holos from like 10, 15-ish years ago, and you have those and you kind of want to see how they compare to these. So yeah, don't act crazy in my comment section. I'm pulling these out for comparisons. I'm not telling you to buy it. Thank you. I generally steer clear of brands that are in any way controversial from this channel because I don't like people arguing in my comment section, and also I'm still paying for my phone and I don't want people yelling at me on a phone I'm still paying for. So yeah, mind your manners. Thank you. Also, if you don't know what brand is controversial, Google is free. Your internet might not be free, but Google sure is. So thanks. Well, first up over here we have Crush. Right here we have ILNP's Secret Santa. Here we have Melody, Holo Tacos, Red Licorice, Cert Colors Matter. And then over here I pulled out Super Chick Lacquer's Realm of Erotica. So I didn't have any red tone shades that I thought were going to be like super similar from ILNP, which is why we have colors that aren't really similar over here. As far as for the other linear holos, the ILNP is the only one that also has an added shimmer, but I feel like the shimmer is not like the strongest of the shimmers. This is a really super linear holo with like a delicate shimmer. I feel like as far as color wise goes, Cert Colors Matter is probably going to be the most similar color base color wise, but as far as the most holographic out of the linear holos, I would probably put either the Holo Taco or the Super Chick for the most holographic. If you were trying to base colors off of this, I would say that the Holo Taco shade is just slightly pinker in tone than the ILNP shade. I think that added shimmer kind of added to the overall like reddish oranginess of this shade in comparison to the Holo Taco. I would say that the ILNP shade is pretty similar as far as like the strength of the holographic flame compared to the Holo Taco and the other shades. Out of the linear holos, I would say that Cert Colors Matter is probably the least, or I should say has a more delicate holo flame in comparison to the other linear holos. Next up to compare to Sunset Boulevard, I pulled out ILNP's Bright Side. This is a kind of metallic-y orange. This has a scattered holographic effect. I think these are like super, super tiny holographic flakies. And then over here we pulled out, well, I pulled out. And over here I pulled out Holo Taco's Orange Drink. And right here we have Super Chick's Reverse Polarity. Same rules apply for the last one. I pulled out what I thought was going to be most similar color-wise from the ILNP catalog here. And then these 2 were what I thought were gonna be like the most popular linear holographics. So I would say color-wise, the ILNP shade is very similar to Holo Taco's Orange Drink. Not exactly the same. I would say that Orange Drink is just slightly darker in tone. I would say side by side through here, I feel like the ILNP shade is pulling just slightly more coppery than the Holo Taco shade is. But I feel like all three of these linear holos are all pretty dang holographic. And again, I know the lighting's not showing the holo very great, though the white is blowing us out pretty bad. While I wouldn't say that the ILNP shade is a dupe for Holo Taco's Orange Drink, I would say if you already have Orange Drink, this shade is going to be really, really similar. And I don't know if it'd be completely justifiable to own them both. And over here to compare to Golden Rays, I pulled out Holo Taco's Lemon Sucker. This has unfortunately been discontinued. Right here we have Super Chick Lacquer's Pheromone, and then over here we have Holo Taco's Sunshine Crush. Okay, so for this comparison, I actually got overwhelmed by trying to find colors that I thought would be similar to ILNP since I don't have other linear holos from the brand. I pulled out Sunshine Crush because I thought that this would be a similar color-wise to the ILNP shade, even though the formula is not exactly the same. It has shimmer and holographic flakes in it, so it's not exactly the same formulation, but I thought color-wise they might be a bit more similar. They're not. I feel like the Holo Taco shade is pulling a lot more kind of orangey, and the ILNP shade is more very golden, sunset, kind of marigoldy. Color-wise, I wouldn't say any of these are terribly that similar that it's not, you know, justifiable to consider having them all. I will say for those of you who did want Sunshine Crush to be more holographic, I would think that the ILNP shade's a really good polish to have that's kind of similar, but also more holographic. And to compare to Stacey over here, I pulled out Mooncat's Ego Stroker 9000, Holo Taco's Hot Wire Pink, and then Super Chick Lacquer's Trap Queen. So when I got all of these put onto the swatch wheel, in my personal opinion, as someone who I have purchased 2 of these and received 2 of them in PR, I would probably say buying wise, I don't really think it's justifiable to own all 4 of these. These are all super, super similar. I will say, the Mooncat shade is the most different than all of these linear holographics. The Mooncat has more of a metallic-y finish plus linear holographic as opposed to just like a straight linear holo like the other polishes. It also, in my opinion, is the least like in-your-face holographic out of these 4 polishes. Color-wise, I would say that Stacey leans a bit pinker in tone than the Holo Taco linear holographic. Well, I mean, out of all of them, it's more pinky. I feel like all of these are very like fuchsia, berry-y leaning, and the ILNP just seems has like it's a little bit more warmth. I think that added shimmer that they added that's supposed to be golden, I feel like it just kind of added extra warmth to it that these other polishes don't have because they don't have that kind of shimmer. And to compare to Last Light, I pulled out Holo Taco's Purple Slushy, Holo Taco's Violet Nightmares, and then Super Chick Lacquer's 40 Winks. So once again, I feel like that added shimmer that ILNP added to the shade, I feel like this kind of added extra warmth to the polish. I feel like all these other ones are very cool in tone, and the ILNP shade seems to have just like a little bit more warmth to it. I wouldn't say that any of these are too similar to justify also having the ILNP shade. Like again, I can see a color difference between them, but I feel like this is definitely going to be one of those like, do you see the differences or are they all just too similar kind of vibes? Because like I acknowledge how many dark purple linear holos does one person need? Apparently I need a lot of them. And then finally, to compare to Barefoot, I pulled out ILNP's Countdown, ILNP's I See You, Holo Taco's 50 Shades of Greige, Holo Taco's Blush Ice, and then all the way here on the end we have Holo Taco's Peach Tea. So I largely pulled these ones out because I thought they would be kind of similar color-wise. I do think that Barefoot is pretty similar color-wise to Countdown. Not exactly the same. I would describe Barefoot as being significantly warmer in tone than Countdown. I feel like they're, again, similar, but not exactly the same. This one's a lot warmer in tone. I feel like it has like just like a dash more copperiness to it than Countdown has. I thought this would be super duper similar to Peach Tea and Blushed Ice from Holo Taco. It's kind of similar. It's in the same kind of color family as these 2 over here, but not exactly the same in my opinion. I think it would be justifiable to own all 3 of these shades over here. I was also requested to compare Barefoot to Salon Perfect's Chocolate Cartel. This was part of the Willy Wonka collection from a few winters ago. And then over here, I have China Glaze's FYI, which is a significantly older linear holographic. It dawned on me while I was editing this video that since I mentioned this later in the video that I always wanted to quickly compare it to Barefoot because I thought maybe they might be kind of similar. So the biggest differences here, Chocolate Cartel is significantly darker in color. I would probably say that Barefoot seems to be a bit stronger in holographic. And then all the way over here for FYI, this is a significantly more delicate linear holographic because this one is fairly old. I think this came out in like 2008, if I remember that right. It still has a very strong hollow flame, but it's not as visually impressive as like newer linear hollows. Also, the formula is kind of trash. I think it might need a little bit of thinner or something. It was not a great time for applying this one. Alrighty, so final thoughts time. So overall, I thought this was a fantastic collection. I feel like since Holo Taco started discontinuing their OG linear holographics, I feel like I see a lot of people fairly regularly in the community wanting more linear holographics. If you missed the time in the indie community when everybody was releasing their own version of a linear holographic, I could definitely see why you would want brands to release more linear holos because they're really not released as frequently anymore. I'm pretty sure the pigment to make linear holographics got fairly expensive in recent years, especially in comparison to some other finishes. So I feel like that might be the reason why we don't see linear holos as frequently as we once did. I really enjoy a linear holographic. I feel it's one of those formulations, kind of like a cream, that like it's a staple finish, and I feel like everybody should have at least like a rainbow of linear holographics. So I feel like these are really solid. Color story wise, I feel like the vibe of this collection, it feels very late summer to me. Again, like I said this already, late summer, early fall is the vibe I'm getting from this collection. It is very much a sunset. It's a beautiful, beautiful sunset. I feel like these would gradient really, really nicely together. So overall, I think this was a 10 out of 10 collection. I think this actually might be my favorite summer collection that ILNP has done this year. Wait, is it, or did I just make that up? Let me look at my reviews again.
A few moments later.
So yeah, I think this might be my favorite summer collection that ILNP has done this year. Like if you asked me my personal opinion on like ranking the summer collections, I would put Sundazed, Euphoric, Throwback, and then the Socialite. I feel like all four were really good collections. I feel like I mean, I'm currently wearing the Flashback collection and a nail art on my hand right now, so clearly I did enjoy that one a lot. I feel like this was just a really solid summer of releases from ILNP, even though we quite literally just officially started summer like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, not that long ago. I have seen quite a few people mention how feeling a little bit of fatigue almost from ILNP releasing this many collections. I don't know if people ever realize this, but ILNP always releases 4 collections per season. If you look back at their releases, this is what they've been doing for quite a while. I think the reason why this feels very boom, 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 boom is because sometimes for the releases, ILNP usually can do like 2 releases together on the same day. Whereas this time, I think we had like a week, 2 weeks apart for some of the releases. So I feel like it feels like more releases because they were more separate as opposed to there being 2 collections put together. But we actually haven't gotten more polishes from the brand than we normally get for a season. It doesn't bother me personally that ILNP releases this many collections every single season, largely because ILNP doesn't do limited edition releases. It is completely like plausible that 5 years from now, all of these polishes will still be available. While ILNP does discontinue things, they don't discontinue things very regularly, and usually when something gets discontinued, it had been available for quite a while. As far as my own personal top pick goes, probably unsurprisingly, I'm gonna be picking Golden Days and Stacey as my top picks from this release, which I don't feel like is gonna be a surprise from anyone who knows my color preferences. As far as pricing and sale information goes, the Sundazed collection will be available starting on July 10th on the ILNP website. For the first weekend of sales, the collection will be discounted by 10% in both the singles as well as the bundle listing. ILNP prices their boutique finish polishes at $12.50, and they do have a 12 ml bottle. These polishes do feature the brand's more square brush, but the brand also does have a rounded paddle brush for their creme finish polishes. And again, this release is not considered limited edition, and it's also going to be available on the brand's Etsy and Amazon pages. I will have both the Amazon and Etsy linked, and I also have an Etsy storefront, by the way, so So I'll have those listed in my Etsy storefront as well. I would love to know what everyone thought of this release. Also, just like a little community question, what was the first linear holographic that you purchased? I'm fairly confident the first linear holo that I purchased was China Glaze's FYI from their original OMG collection. Because like I said during the comparison portion, I feel like depending on when you came into the nail polish community, that probably would base what your first linear holographic was. Before we end today's video, I do want to give a very special shout out to my channel members. Shenanigans, Story Fans, and of course, all on the screen right now. If you would like to sign up for my channel memberships, there is a link for that in the description box, or you can click join next to the subscribe button. I feel like YouTube has gotten significantly better with putting the join button like in a place where people can see it nowadays, so it's probably gonna be the easiest one to find. And as always, my channel memberships is completely optional. Just make sure to like the video, comment the video, subscribe if you have not yet already, and that is a-okay too. So just thank you all for joining me for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a lovely week, folks, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!
When I get high, I ain't looking at the clock, still ballin' like Brian. Yeah, I'm headed to the Bucks, then I'm ballin' like yeah.